Next thing I'd like to ask is I want to make sure everyone you can see my screen thus far. You should see like the chat that we have that's going on. Is that a yes or a no?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Okay. All righty. So what I did, right before the session started, in the chat, and I'm showing y'all the chat. To get to the chat, of course, there's a little icon up at the top in the middle. It says conversations. In the chat, I've posted a couple videos first and foremost, and I'll scroll up. These videos is pretty much it goes through and then explains to you all our features that we have that's within the Argos software, i.e., we have our MBC or multi-link bank controller, so that way if you got to option out the cabinets to do progressives, you have a video that shows you how to do that. I also have video on there that explains to you about our easy config feature, and again, I posted some videos, on those, so you can actually take a look at those, as well as I can provide you all the link if you're interested and knowing how to use those features and stuff. Then down at the bottom here, the documents, one of them's the Argos multi-link bank controller, excuse me. Again, it just explains you all the features or how to go about using our multi-link bank controller if you want to set the cabinet up for progressive. And then right below that, I also provided you all a document that it talks to you all about the Argos OS. Now, again, probably won't be hitting on a lot of stuff that you all don't need to know, but this document it will have everything in it that you can actually go through. And if you really want to get a better understanding of how Argos work, that's also attached here. All right.
All right.
Lastly, what I've done is I've also the presentation I'm going to use, and understand this is going to be twofold. One of them is going to be like a real quick presentation, and then the second one, I actually, as you can see, I have like I'm sitting right next to a mural cabinet, so I'm going to take you through everything that we talk about in the presentation, on the and show you all this on the actual machine, so that way you have not only like a hard copy of it, but also a video of me going through all of those. All right, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get my presentation started. First and foremost, I want to welcome everybody and say, again, a welcome. Today, we're here to talk about the Mural Cabinet. Mural Cabinet is one of our newest cabinets we have that is out. Based off the things that you all are going to be doing, there's a lot that goes on with this cabinet, but I can say, and not because I work with Scientific Games, but of all the cabinets that I've worked with, and I've worked with a couple of different manufacturers and vendors as well. This is probably one of the easiest cabinets we have to actually install. Yeah, it's a big cabinet, but even though it's a big cabinet, it's still, if you all had to install it, of course, we have people that will install it. You'll watch when they go to install it, it's actually a real easy cabinet to install. We're not gonna worry about signing right now. What I'll do is I'll send it over to the main man over there, and you can just give me a list of who all attended because in the end we're gonna have to create a certificate for each of the technicians that are attending today. So I won't worry about doing a sign in. Some things we're going to talk about overall. I'm going to give you all an introduction to the cabinet. Pretty much, show you the doors and things of this nature. We're going to talk about the cabinet dimensions, and I think the cabinet dimensions are important because based off of your casino floor, you need to know exactly where it is you can put this cabinet. We're going to look at the doors as well as the lock locations. I give you all the electrical specifications, so this way you know exactly what type power requirements you need to have on your floor. And then last, we're going to take a look at the CPU, but not just take a look at the CPU. I'm going to show you all how to go about servicing it, as well as doing a RAM clear, as well as doing how to option out a cabinet. Now, when it comes to the RAM clear, I have another EGM that I'm remoting into because there's two ways we'll go about doing that. So when we get to that part, that again will be a a two-part session. One of them I'm gonna show you the recording of what it looks like when you say insert the install thumb drive. The other one is going to be where you just simply have to open up the logic door, power cycle the machine, and it'll take you in to do a RAM clear as well. So we're gonna go through all of that so y'all have a better understanding of that. Alrighty, let's get down and talk about this cabinet. This cabinet, first and foremost, like I said, it's a huge cabinet, but it has two 55-inch curved monitors, and they are both 4K. This particular cabinet can come with a sign package, depending on how it is that you want to have it or, situated in your casino floor. At the same time, I can show y'all like based off the one we have here in the showroom, we have like a sign pack that goes with it. Now, nice thing about this sign package, it actually mounts to the cabinet, so it's not you don't have to worry about a lot of brackets, braces, and posts to hold it out, hold it up. It actually mounts to the cabinet. But again, this is just information for you. This particular cabinet can come be installed as an inline or even a pod configuration. One of the nice things about this cabinet is it has an iDeck, obviously, and the iDeck and the main screen are touchscreen. But on the iDeck, we have what we call now a wireless charger. So those people who have the Android phone that is capable of, doing a wireless charge as well as your Apple, again, phone that's capable of doing a wireless charge. A patron can now come by. They can set their phone on the iDeck itself over that charging symbol, and it will obviously charge their phone. Now, do understand, based off of this charge, this is not a it's not a fast charge. It's pretty much like a trickle charge. It's more so as a convenience for the patrons and stuff when they're sitting playing the game. They can at least put their phone on the charger and play the game and stuff, but it won't be like a real quick charge. Last thing about this cabinet, it has what we call dual bash buttons. Pretty much a button deck on the left and the right side of the iDeck, thus allowing a person they want to play the game really quick. They can use both hands. If you're left-handed, you can have the convenience of using the left button, and at the same time, if you're right-handed, you can also use your right hand. The cabinet dimensions. This cabinet is over 12 feet 4 inches in height. It is a little bit over 3 feet in width. And then when you look at it as far as from the eye deck down, that's like almost 3 feet in height. Those are the specs I think you all really need to be concerned with, based off of the cabinet height. And this height is the 12 foot 4 is all the way to the top of the candle. Of course, the candle's like 6, 8 inches in height. So if you put on a lower type candle, you do have a little bit of room to play with. But you're gonna need over what's 12 4 in most places 18 inches. So you're gonna need like 14, almost 14 feet in clearance so your cameras and stuff can see, what's going on around that cabinet if you had to do that. And when it comes to the doors, and I see I need to move this out the way over here. Let's put this up top for right now. When it comes to the doors, there are a couple of doors that you really have to worry about opening, but we still have doors on here because of gaming regulations and everything else. Starting with the item number A, this is what we're going to call our main door. The main door is obviously the monitor, and it is a touchscreen. So when you go to do configuring and stuff, you will be using that touchscreen. Then we have what we call the attendant key. The attendant key is going to be on the left-hand side of the cabinet, right below the printer. So if you're looking for the attendant key, you'll find it right below the printer, right on the printer door on the left-hand side. In order for you to open up the deck door and everything, we have what we call this release handle. And pretty much this release handle is just like if you're familiar with our Cascada cabinet already, and I think we've held a class on a Cascada already. It's the same type T mechanism that we have that's on that cabinet. So it's just a matter of pressing down a little bit on the iDeck and then opening it up. Now, like I said, I will show you all my method of madness when it comes to open up this deck door and stuff, but I just want to put that out there. Then you have what we call the belly door lock latch. Obviously, we have a belly door that's on there and it has a lock with a latch that goes on it. On the right hand side of the cabinet, you have your cash box door lock. And then last, we have what we call the deck door or the iDeck itself. The iDeck door is the door that you're going to use more so to get access inside the cabinet and stuff. And again, I'll show you all that. Any questions on any of the doors thus far?
Nothing so far.
All right. Now, if I have a tendency to talk real fast. I mean, I'm from the South, but I still got that tendency to speak real fast. If I am going too fast, please let me know. Power. This is the most important part for you all. You want to know is like based off this cabinet being as big as it is, how many machines can we put on a circuit? The most important line I want to point out in this here is the operating current. As you can see, it has a draw of 4.4 amps. Nice thing about that is you can put what 5 machines. Well, actually, no, you can't. You can put 4 machines on a circuit and not worry about it blowing the circuit breaker. So based off this 4.4 amps, you now know you can put 4 machines on one circuit. Now, if you happen to have a sign pack that goes with this, what we try to do is we try to put the EGMs on one circuit, and then we'll take the sign package and put it on another circuit. So if you do have a sign package, keep in mind you're going to need to have two circuits. Based off of these two circuits, and then let's say if you have five of these mural cabinets and they're in line, you will take four machines, put it on one circuit, and then take the other machine, put it on the same circuit as the signage. The total weight of the cabinet is approximately 500 pounds. But the way it's designed, again, if you had to move it, we have what we call, it's like in a shipping position. It's real easy to move around and stuff, even though it's a big, huge cabinet. Everything that you need to move the cabinet is self-contained in the cabinet, and it's just a matter of putting in what I would call the shipping position to move it around when you had to move it. Of course, you all will see this when the field service people come out and install the cabinet. And another nice thing about it is you don't have to sit and worry about like the height of casino doors or a door to get it in. Because of the width and because of the height when it's in its shipping, it's less than 6 foot 4 inches in height. So you won't have to worry about which door we got to take it through and all that stuff. So that's a nice thing about the cabinet itself. Some of the suggested tools, and I'm not saying that you all would need these, but this is what our field service guys should have when they go out. Two of the most important ones I want to point out is the last two items because the top ones are, the more commonly, throughout every location. Well, with the exception of the furniture dolly, I've learned that some locations don't have furniture dollies, and one of the things we advise our field service people is when they're moving this cabinet, is to use a furniture dolly. One, furniture dolly has a strap so we can secure the cabinet to the strap. Even though it's an easy cabinet to remove, we still want it to be strapped in. Two, with a furniture dolly, it is much wider than a regular hand truck. Thus, it prevents it you won't have to worry about it tilting to the left or the right as much as you would if you were to use a regular hand truck to move it around. And then three, the painter's telescopic rod. Now, everybody's probably wondering why do we need that? Well, in order for us to get this cabinet in its full in its assembled way, we have to obviously take our top assembly and we want to raise it up. And this painter's telescope rod is what helps us hold it up. And then you will see the field service guys, they have like certain locations where they have to go and insert all the screws just to hold it all in place. Once they get those screws in place, they will then take this painter's telescopic rod out and they will take that with them. The last one on here is wood shims. We've learned, even based off of like, new casino floors. I mean, everybody's under the impression that a casino floor is like level. I mean, it's pretty much you can take a level, you put it on the floor, and it's level. Well, we've learned, especially out here in Las Vegas, we just opened up the Circuit Casino, a fairly new one. We went out and we've installed cabinets, and based off of the cabinets being installed, we've learned that the floor is actually it has like divots in it or dips. And pretty much with this cabinet being as tall as it is, when you put it side by side, and let's say you don't have any fillers in it in between, but you put them side by side, at the bottom, your IDEX will all be together. It'll be a nice little pretty line, going down, let's say, inline configuration. But as you look up the middle of the cabinet between the two, you'll see the gap. It'll actually spread apart. So we now have our field service guys. They take out wood shims to make sure that the cabinet, when it is installed correctly, it's a nice looking cabinet. So again, these are not tools that you all have to worry about, but these are the tools that we are having our guys bring out so you all are aware. All right, and like I said, we're going to talk about these doors. And before I do that, any questions up to this point?
No, not yet.
Okay. The very first door we want to talk about is going to be the deck door. The deck door, again, like I said, it allows you to get access into the cabinet itself. The way you go about opening is obviously you're going to have a lock on yours. My picture, I do not have a lock, but you're going to unlock the lock itself. And then what I suggest when I tell everybody is you want to take your hand and put like right in the middle, and I'll show you. So you want to put like right in the middle of the deck here, pin somewhere in this location here. Press down. You don't have to press down real hard, but press down slightly. Then pull on that T handle, and by doing that, what it does is inside the iDeck we have two lock mechanisms. One is on the left side, and one is on the right. If you sit and you take and you put your hand, say, to the left side of the cabinet, and you press down on the deck and you pull up, most likely it will open. But think about it this way, because it is on a pretty much hinges. The more you press down on one side or the other, the harder it may be to open the cabinet. So put your hand in the middle, press down, pull on the T handle, the eye deck will come up and its own struts. Well, as you can see, once you got the eye deck door open, and I'll show you all a better picture. But to the right side, as I told you all, based off of the doors, your bill validator is on the right side, and then on the left side, of course, you can't really see it in this picture. That's where your printer is located, and right in the center, there's a CPU. Before I go any further, and before I forget, once this deck door is open, the one thing everybody needs to know is like, where's the power switch located? Well, it's right up above the CPU, and I'm highlighting it right here. That's where your power switch is going to be located. So as soon as you open up your deck door, to the left side, right up above your CPU, you will see your power switch. Okay. Now, the belly door. Belly door is actually an easy door, but it has a couple things on that I would need for everybody to understand and know. First and foremost, it again has a lock assembly. Second of all, it has like this handle, or the one that I'm showing in the bottom right. Our handle, basically what takes place is when you turn your lock and you unlock it, this is on a spring detent, the back view picture. Based off of you unlock and turn your lock to unlock it, you want to take your hand in, you're going to insert and you're going to pull up on that handle and then pull the belly door towards yourself. Now at the bottom of the belly door, my front view, you'll see that there's these two alignment pegs. We got one on the left side and you have one on the right side. Pretty much all these they're just guides to help you line up the belly door when you go to insert it in. Once you got the belly door out, you don't need to have your key to put it back in. So pretty much you can put your alignment pins in, lift the belly door up, and just push it shut, and it will lock into place. As I said, with the belly door open, as you can see, we have the bill validator is on your right hand side. Again, it's real easy to work with. It's just a matter of, if you had to service it, and everybody I'm pretty sure knows how to remove the validator. You'll reach in, grab the release lever here, and of course you will pull the validator forward, service it as you need to. You can even, like if you got a bill and jam bill or whatever, it's real easy to get to on that one. Right below that, as you can see, we have your cash box door, the access door, and everything else is right below that validator. Again, they've made this cabinet really easy for us all to work on and stuff, should we have to. To the left side, we have the printer. The printer, as you can see, it has a thumb screw that actually secures it into on the left side of the cabinet. Now, this thumb screw, obviously, a thumb screw is called a thumb screw for a reason. It only needs to be thumb tight. What's taking place is the way this printer sits or resides in there, this plate holds it in there. So you don't necessarily, if you want to take the whole print out, you can, but you don't necessarily have to. You can still grab the printer and you can pull it forward to put your paper and everything in. But if you have to service it, loosen that thumb screw, the whole housing will come out. Do what you got to do. If you're replacing it, take the old one out, put the new one back in, connect all your wires and stuff, put it back on the plate and slide it back in, done and out the way. Now below the printer. If you're having issues with audio, we have like, I think they have like future use for what's below. So if you wonder what's actually under that access door below the printer, we only have a sound card, and of course your tenant key. But other than that, there's nothing else under there. So it's like a big old huge open area that is located under the BVIA printer door itself. Sorry. CPU. Now, if you're familiar with our Cascada cabinet, we are obviously using the same CPU, but I'd like to point a couple things out about it. The Salem CPU, we've made some changes compared to our 4X CPU. Our 4X is what we use in all our Twin Star cabinets, but in our Salem, we use what we call our 5X. Nice thing about this is just by knowing the model, it'll actually tell you what version of Windows you need to use and all of that, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But a couple of things that's nice about the CPU. On the very front of the CPU, starting on the right-hand side, left-hand side, I'm backwards, you have your lock, your lock assembly for your logic door. That whole blue assembly is what we want to call our logic door. In order for you to take the CPU in and out, you need to unlock that logic door, because what's taking place, we actually have like opening where the tang actually slides into, so it locks the CPU into place. So to take the CPU out first, unlock the logic door. Secondly, you're going to have some DP cables that's going to go in there. You want to disconnect those. Once those are disconnected, you can then take the CPU and pull it out. But we'll talk about that here in a minute. Also in the front of the CPU, we have two blue 3.0 USB ports. These ports can be used when you are installing the software. And again, we'll talk about how to go about installing the software here in a little bit. But I just want to let everybody know you can install the software using these two USB ports in the front. But you will need to have your install thumb drive, which is what allows us to get into the main menu to do all the setup. That install thumb drive will need to be inserted in one of the two blue USB 3.0 ports that is inside the CPU itself. We have two Ethernet ports that are active. So depending upon the system you're going to be plugging into, you can put it on two different systems or two different networks and the machine will function fine. And then right next to that, we have this little white button. That's called our ejection button. I'm just kidding. That's called our self-test button. Based off the self-test button allow you to access your operator's menu with your doors open. So if you want to know how to get into your operator's menu, doors open, hit that white self-test button, and it will allow you to go into your self-test menu. Any question on the exterior of the CPU?
No.
Okay. Now, once you got the CPU open, there's a couple things that we've done with this one that we did not do with our 4X CPU. Of course, we all have we have batteries that is on our CPU, and what we've done is we've actually inserted some jumpers. What these jumpers do, they act like a switch. Pretty much, if the jumpers are engaged or you have two pins that are covered, and as you can see, we have J36, J37 is where these jumpers are located. If you have one pin shown, that's an indication that the switch is off. What that means is if the switch is off, the batteries they're pretty much in a altered state where they're not being used at all. If you take those jumpers and you enable them or you put them over the pins to where there are no pins exposed, again, there are two pins that enables or closes the circuitry for the batteries that we have that is in the back. Now we do have two sets of batteries. The one nickel cell battery that takes care of all of our non-volatile memory and stuff or things that we need to worry about, clocks, things of that nature. The other batteries, of course, it helps with helps the cabinet maintain its memory and everything else as far as when we go into option in the cabinet. But the first thing again you want to do is make sure that you enable your jumpers. Next thing you want to do, based off that nickel cell battery that I was just talking about, it's going to be located on the right-hand side of the CPU. You want to make sure that it'll have like this little pink film. Again, it's acting like a switch, so it's keeping that circuit open and keeping the battery life, making the battery life longer. Once you get the CPU, go through, move your jumpers over on J36, 30, J37, make sure those are enabled, but also go through and make sure you remove that plastic film. This way, so when you go through and option out the cabinet, and everybody knows, if we do not remove these tabs, you can obviously put your CPU in, you can go through, you can option your cabinet out, but as soon as you get a power hit because these batteries are not enabled or turned on, you're going to lose all the settings you option out in this cabinet will be lost. You end up having to go through to re-option the cabinet out. So make sure that you, again, move both jumpers that need to be moved on jumpers J36 and J37, and then make sure you remove this plastic tab on the battery, on the nickel cell battery. We also have the ability to write to our BIOSes. Now, based off of some jurisdictions, like if you all in your jurisdiction, if the BIOS was to be revoked or we came out with something better, you have the ability to now write to that BIOS. In order for you to write to it, right next to it, as you can see, our battery jumpers, as another jumper, and that one's labeled J18. Now you can barely make it out, and I'm using my index finger to try to highlight it, but there's these numbers down there that gives you an indication. Numbers 1, 2, and 3. When the jumper is on pins 1 and 2, you would do not have the ability to write to the BIOS. In order for you to write to the BIOS, you need to take that jumper, move it over to pins 2 and 3. Okay? And then this is a look inside the CPU itself. Now, if you're familiar again with our twin star cabinets, you'll notice our BIOS, this beige device here in the yellow tub, that is our BIOS. Our BIOS in the CPU 5X is different than the BIOS in the CPU 4X. What's taking place here is this particular color BIOS can only be used in our 5X, and the difference is the 5X actually requires us to use a whole lot more memory, so we had to get a BIOS that had a lot more memory in it. Thus, the different colors to help you identify them. Alrighty. Should you have to change the batteries on the CPU? It's actually real easy to change out. As you can see in the picture that I'm showing here, in the back of the CPU, you would, well, obviously would have to take the CPU out, but in the back of the CPU is where these batteries are located. Again, these batteries are held in, or this battery housing, I should say, is held in with a thumb screw. When you open up the CPU, you will see this thumb screw in the back. Another nice thing about this is you can take this whole logic door off. Now, I wish I had brought one over here with me. I used to do this training in the lab, but I wanted to show you all the live cabinet. But the CPU cover or the logic door, it has a thumb screw. As soon as you open up that blue door on the right hand side, there's this thumb screw you loosen that, and then you can lift up on this cover and take it off. Then once it's off, in the very back on the left-hand side, you will see this thumb screw I'm referencing in regards to the battery housing. Loosen that thumb screw up. You will see a 4-pin Molex cable connected to it. Pull the battery housing out enough to allow you to disconnect that 4-pin Molex. Change the batteries, do what you got to do. Put the batteries back in. Connect that 4-pin Molex. Seat the housing back in as it was. Tighten your thumb screw, put in your installed thumb drive, and go and re-option the cabinet out to do what you as it was before. Okay. Now we have two positions for the CPU. Again, like I said, they made this real easy for us when it comes to working on this cabinet. If you can imagine the picture that I'm have on the left, even though my belly door is not there, picture that was the belly door was there. If the belly door was there, this is what we would call the cabinet being in the operated position. So in other words, the CPU housing actually is on a pivot. There's this screw that you will pull, as I'm showing you on the right hand side. You pull on this thumb screw, thumb tab, I should say. You pull on it, and with your hand resting in front of the CPU housing here, the hand rested in, somewhere in here, pull on that pull tab, and the CPU housing will come down into what we call our service position, i.e., our service position. Now, the nice thing about this is it makes it even easier when it comes to working on the batteries, having to get access to cabling and all that stuff inside the cabinet. So we have two positions for that CPU. One again is the operator's position, and the other one is the service position. In order for you to put in the service position, again, you want to pull on that pull tab that's going to be on the right hand side of the cabinet. Of course, my circle is not over it, but that's where it's located at. Okay. Now we're going to talk about how to do the RAM clearing. Like I said, this is going to be a two-part process. And the reason why I say a two-part process, you actually have two ways you can go about doing a RAM clear. One is going to be with the install thumb drive. Install thumb drive, what that basically does is, and I'll get to that cabinet here in a few minutes, it basically takes you into the setup menu to allow you to do not only RAM clears, you can do forensic capture and all these other things, but that's one way of going about doing a RAM clear. Depending on your situation, and let's say the machine is out on the floor, you won't need the install thumb drive. Only thing you would have to do is open up the cabinet door, the deck door, open up your logic door, on your power switch, power the cabinet down, which is what I'm doing now on this particular cabinet. I'm powering this cabinet down. Wait a few seconds. Again, logic door is open, and then you power the cabinet back on. What's going to take place is within the OS, and if your OS is Argos OS 223C, version C or higher, this feature was built into the software. So if you're on your casino floor, if you got 222, 220, I think y'all get the point. The more I go back, this feature is not there. But so long as it's 223C and higher, you all you had simply have to do is go out to the cabinet. Again, open up your logic door, power the cabinet off, wait a few seconds, power the cabinet back on. Now, this is obviously going to take a few seconds to come back up to get to a certain menu. What I want to do in the meantime is I'm going to remote in. I'm going to show you what the menu is going to look like if you were to say VNC into a cabinet. Or, I'm sorry, no, don't keep my changes. If you were to use your install thumb drive. So I'm going to go in here. Let me find, I'm going to use my utility tool. There we go. This is a tool I use for a lot of training. I don't want that one. That's the wrong one. But this tool, actually, I mean, I can pretty much remote into any machine that I have that's on my network, and I can go through and show you all kind of craziness when it comes to the OS and things like that. So I'm gonna remote desktop into one of my machines I have that is on the floor in our lab. I'm gonna go at 94, connect. Again, this is going to take a little while too. So while we're waiting on these two variations to get to their certain state, are there any questions right now as to based off the things that I've covered thus far?
Not so far.
Okay. Question for the group. When you all put so you all won't be installing the cabinets on the casino floor, but you all will be, what are you all responsibilities when it comes to you all with the cabinets when they're on the floor?
Every pretty much everything other than a ticket fill.
Okay, so you all would be responsible for optioning the cabinet out, setting up the progressives and all of that, correct?
Yes.
All right, excellent. I just wanted to make sure, and then, like I said, based off of those documents that I've given you all, the nice thing about those, again, we're going to touch bases on the MBC, the easy config, even how to go about optioning the cabinet out. But one of the things is those documents I've also provided to you all, it probably goes a lot more in depth. And if I don't explain it clear enough, or if you all miss a process or a step that I've given you all, you can refer to these documents, and these documents will give you step by step, blow by blow on what it is that you may have missed or a slide did not explain to you. Fair enough? All right, so my
All
one
right.
machine, I've connected to it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and have a VNC. And now we make my screen here a little bit bigger. I think 2 of them is good. Now scroll down. So based off of a cabinet, and again, depending upon what state you're actually in, this state that I'm showing you first and foremost, this is saying we have went through, we had our installed thumb drive in, and we're now ready to go through and use our easy config features, which is the first thing I want to talk to y'all about. Only way you're going to be able to get to this feature is, again, you have to go through with your installed thumb drive, go through, install all your software. And again, hopefully I can show you all that here. But once all the software is installed, what's going to take place is you're going to take all the thumb drives that you had. You're going to have one thumb drive that's going to be your installed thumb drive. That's the main one that you're always going to need. Then from there, you're going to get like a bundle of software. One thumb drive could potentially have your Windows, could potentially have your OS, as well as your jurisdiction. The other thumb drive could be game. Point here is you're going to get a set of thumb drives. I can tell you if it's going to be three thumb drives, four thumb drives, or maybe even just two thumb drives. But you will get a bundle, and then you will have an installed thumb drive. That installed thumb drive is the most important because what's going to take place is you're going to, again, your cabinet is obviously going to be off. Logic door is going to be open. You're going to insert it into either one of the two blue USB ports that is inside the CPU. Power the cabinet on. It's going to go through. It's going to go up to a certain point. Once you get to a certain point, you will now be able to install your software. Now, the nice thing about this is it doesn't make a difference which, based off your bundle, what you install first. You can put your Windows in first. You can put your game in first. You can put your jurisdiction in first. It doesn't make a difference which one you install first, so long as the end process, the cabinet has all of this, the required software it needs to turn on, you are good to go. Once everything is installed, what's going to take place is you're going to power the cabinet off. You're going to remove those thumb drives, right? Once those thumb drives are pulled out, you're going to then turn the cabinet back on. And when you turn the cabinet back on, that's going to bring it to the screen that I'm showing you all now. Sorry, I had to take that long road just to get to this point right here. Now, here's what's taking place within Argos. Again, Argos, the 223C or higher OS, gives us this feature, easy config feature. And what this does is this makes everybody's life a whole lot easier. This says this: if you have, let's say a bank of 8 games, and they all have the identical math, they're all the same theme, they're all going to be linked together. All you really have to do is go through and option out one cabinet. This one cabinet and they obviously will all be plugged into a network, and then based off of this one cabinet, everything that you option out in this cabinet will be carried over into the other cabinets. Now, there's 3 features we have that is within Easy Config. One of them is called networking. Networking, you obviously have to have a switch, and again, just go through and you option out the one cabinet. Once this one cabinet is optioned out, you can now share these configurations through the network. The other feature within EasyFig is what we call local machine. Local machine is a nice feature because what takes place is, let's say you have a cabinet that goes down. All you really have to do is come in again with your logic door open. Um, you bring the cabinet up to this state, based off of with your installed thumb drive. You're obviously going to have to turn the cabinet on and turn it off. It's going to go into this easy config feature. You select the local machine. What that will do is that will restore that one cabinet back to its original state. Only thing it will not bring back, oh bless you. The only thing it will not bring back is if you have like progressives, it will bring it back to its reset value. So hopefully you have the current values. But the local machine allows you to restore the machine back to its initial state based off the way it was set up. And then we have what we call the USB. USB features nice. Again, that scenario I gave you all. You have a set of 8 banks, 8 games on one bank, and then across the casino floor, you have that same set of 8 games, better yet, 4 machines on the other side. You can take this thumb drive, insert it into this one cabinet. You can copy these configurations to that thumb drive, then take that thumb drive out, take it over to that other bank of games that's on the other side of the casino floor, insert it into each cabinet, and upload all the configurations based off of that cabinet that you got this information from. Now, what's going to take place is, and this is very important, obviously, there's some things that are very different about the cabinet that you're going to have to, information you're going to have to put into the cabinet. Based off of everything that you went through, let's say you went through, you got your progressives all set. You've got your player tracking is all set. Everything you need to have set up in this machine, and let's say even SG Connect. I'm putting that out there. I'm putting in a sales plug. Let's say you even have SG Connect. Based off of the SG Connect and all these configurations set up, these configurations will carry over. However, the serial number, because every machine has its own serial number, you will have to put in that serial number. Then the asset number, you would have to put that asset number in there. Point here is like everything that you set up in the one cabinet, based off of if you're using the network, local machine, or even USB, all these configurations will be carried over to the other machines with the exception of your serial number and your asset number. Okay. And again, like I said in that document, it explains this feature a whole lot better than I could probably show you. And then I'll also provide you all video so you can take a look at that. So you get to this menu. Based off your first cabinet, the very first thing you want to do is you want to skip your configuration because this is our very first machine we want to use to set up for our what we got to do. So we're going to go through, we're going to skip select skip on it. Now the machine is obviously going to go through and it's going to reboot. And we're down to like the last little bit. So based off of this, we'll allow this machine to reboot. While that machine is rebooting, um, let me stop sharing this screen here for a second. I'll take you over. Well, actually, it rebooted quicker than I thought it would. Yep. Well, better yet, I'll stay where I am. Sorry. So let me go ahead. Let me open up this door on this cabinet. Do do do. Open main door. Alrighty. Come on. I hit the right button, right? I should have my glasses on. Yeah, open main door. Enter. Hmm? No, no, I got it, but I'm just waiting. This door just needs to open. My door does not want to open. I didn't say the software is perfect, but it's nice. Let me try to do a refresh here real quick. Refresh. Now maybe my door will be open. Nope, not open. I'll take care of that one. So what I'm gonna do, and we'll get back to this because this is the part where I'm gonna show you all how to go about optioning the cabinet out, as you all need to and stuff. So I apologize for that one. Drop you down. Stop sharing this screen. Want to go to my camera. Now I should see here in a second. Oh, do you have to share that screen on the phone? Okay, can you please? Yes, please. I have Leonard, my manager, he's here assisting me with this, so give us a second. All righty, so here we have this cabinet, and let me drop this down. Because one of the things, this is the other way that I was telling y'all, this is probably the easiest way for you all to do you all's RAM clear. Based off of my Logic door, like I said, I opened my Logic door, turned the power off, and I turned the power back on. What's going to take place is the very first screen is going to come up. It's going to give you this message that you can potentially see on the screen. Let me make an adjustment uh, and make this just a little higher. Sorry for any
So you know,
movement.
Sly, we're still not seeing your screen. It's still on, showing everybody in the group here.
Oh, it's not showing. We're
No.
working on that. He's working on it right now. Let's see what I see. Thank you for letting me know that, because I would have kept talking and wouldn't have known. There we go. That works right there. Okay, can you see my screen now?
No, I still just seeing all four people in the group here.
Interesting. How about now?
Nope.
I'm still getting no.
I can see it. Right now, I only see.
Well, I don't mean to offend anyone, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. So I have an idea based off what Lynn is doing right there. So let me do this one more time. And we want to stay on this screen. Bring it back up. This one right here. Now, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Now I don't know how to make this bigger, but I think based off what I'm showing y'all, this will get the point across as for as what y'all need to see. Like I said, so what I did was I turned the cabinet power off and I opened the logic door. When I power the cabinet back up, the very first screen it comes up on is what you see on the screen. And even though it may be a little bit blurry, I'll read it out to you. Up at the very top, it asks you, do you want to RAM clear? And then right below that, we have remove RAM clear persistent data. Now, I always tell our field service guys, always touch that box. And basically what's going to take place is I'm touching the box first and foremost, and I'll explain. Basically what's taking place is, you know how you have hard drives, they can get corrupted, they got like bad sectors, they got like bad information. By checking this box, what it's going to do is it's actually going to go through, it's going to get rid of all erroneous or bad data. So once I've selected that, I'm going to hit yes. Now, here's one thing that's going to drive everybody crazy, even myself. Based off of me selecting yes, I'm now getting another message that's asking me to confirm if I really want to do this RAM clear. Sorry, you want me to stop sharing my screen? Okay. But we're going to try this one more time and stop sharing this, and hopefully it'll be a little bit better. Now, what does everybody see? Well, I'll give it a few seconds, actually.
Right now it's just the four participants again. And
Okay.
now we're switching to Leonard. There we go.
There you go. That's a little bit clearer, is it not? So based off of me hitting the yes, now it's asking me to confirm that I want to do the RAM clear. So next thing I want to do is I even have the choice of hitting confirm or no. I don't know why I would want to hit no because I obviously want to do the RAM clear. So I'm going to select confirm. So I select confirm, and now what's going to take place is it's going to go through, it's going to clear our EEPROM, it's going to perform all the NVRAM clear and everything else. So this again is the easiest way to do your RAM clears on a casino floor. Nice thing about this feature is, let's say you option out your cabinet, right? Based off of you optioning the cabinet and you made a wrong setting. Well, you don't need to have gaming back over there again. So long as your logic door is open, turn the cabinet off. Make sure your logic door is open. Turn the power back on. Go through do the RAM clear and then option it out the way you need to option it out. So I think that's a really nice feature to that we have to go about doing things with now. So now the machine is pretty much going through and it's going to do its RAM clear. As a matter of fact, if I can't get into that other cabinet, and hopefully this picture be good enough to where you all can see the menu based off of how to go about doing a setup. If not, I'll apologize, but what I will do is I will get I'll do a actual recording and I'll get that over to you all before end of business today. But hopefully this will be clear enough. So now we're just going to give this machine enough time to go through. Obviously the BIOS has got to go through doing its checks. Now, if y'all remember, here's that easy config feature that I showed you all, earlier. So you got two ways to get into the easy config feature. One is with the install thumb drive. Of course, with the install thumb drive, that allows you to install all your software. The other one is just by simply open up the logic door and do your RAM clear. Once that's done, again, on your very first cabinet, you always want to hit skip, located at the bottom right of the monitor. So I'm gonna touch skip here. Again, allow it to go through, do its things. What's gonna take place is I should get a nice little beep here in a few, and that's letting me know that my cabinet is now ready to for me to option it out. So again, we'll give it a few seconds. While I'm waiting on this, are there any other questions up to this point?
So far, we're good.
Okay, I want to make sure. All right, so my call attendant came up. My machine gave me my noise. So I'm gonna open up my deck door here for a second so I can get to the self-test button. And again, if you all can see, I'm taking my hand, pressing, putting it right here in the middle, and I'm going to pull on the T handle and press down on the deck. Oh, this one is locked. Let me get my keys out. I'm so used to cabinets not having locks. So let me unlock it first. Find the it's down at the bottom. There we go. And in case y'all can't tell, I'm blind. I try my best though. Even with my glasses on, this I can't see in here. Got the right key. Yes. There we go. So I unlock my door. Then I'm gonna press down on the deck and pull on the T handle. And again, I'm not pressing down real hard, but I am pressed down firmly. Pull on the T handle. My deck door now opens. Now what's taking place is, if you can show the inside here, on my CPU, you can see I have my logic door open, and Linda's going to adjust here in a second. You can see I have my logic door open. So now I'm just simply going to hit my self-test button. And now you can just set it up right, and everybody should be able to see the screen. Ay, ay, ay. My bad. I guess I have to hold this down. This menu is pretty straightforward, and that's a little blurry. Is there any way we can get maybe a little bit closer, possibly, for focus? Yeah, I still really can't make that out. Again, like I said, what I'll do is I'll walk you through it, and then I'll get you all a better recording so you all can actually see all the screens and stuff and go through them. The way the software works is it's pretty intuitive. It'll go through. It'll take you all the way up to a certain point. The very first page is always going to come up is going to be our local setup. Local setup up in the upper left-hand corner is our clock format. We have two different formats. You have 24-hour or you have 12-hour. So depending upon which clock format you want to use, you will option that out. I'll leave it set at 24. And then to the far right-hand side, right next to your clock format, you have your date format. All these other fields on here, These are all controlled through your jurisdiction. I want everybody to understand. My point here is just like, so this is a cabinet that's obviously for the US. I can go through in these windows down the bottom where you see all these different languages. I can turn all of these on, but because my jurisdiction does not support them, it will not enable the language. So there's only two fields on the screen you really need to worry about. Again, clock format, top left, and your date format. Once you've got that set, you pretty much want to hit down the bottom right, save and continue. So I'm gonna save and continue. The next one that's gonna come up is our clock setup. Clock setup is obviously important when it comes to our accounting, reporting, things of this nature. So make sure that you have it set to the right time zone. In order for you to change it, you simply hit the modify button in the middle. Based off the modify, everybody should be familiar with this menu. You can scroll through your month, your day, and all that stuff. Put it back on the words, as well as your year, and then adjust your time. Right below that, you have your time zone. It has a drop down arrow. Touch on your drop down arrow. You usually scroll up, and I know I'm on Pacific, so you select your correct time zone. Once you've got that set, and I now have changed this to 9:27, I can hit save. So my clock is now saved, and I'm on my right time zone. Next thing to do is hit continue. The very next page coming up, very important. This is where you want to put your serial number in. Now, if you use that feature that I talked about within EasyFix, say the local machine, your serial number will automatically populate again because it was entered once. As you can see on this cabinet, barely, but my serial number is shown there. The only thing I had to put in here is going to be my asset number. But if the serial number was missing, you simply touch on that field, and then you'll get this menu appear at the bottom. Go in and enter your number. Now, one of the things our field service guys like to do, they like to hit accept. You don't have to hit accept. All you simply have to do is touch your other field. In this example, I touch my serial number field, and it'll change to that. Once I got all of my entries entered, my serial number and my asset, now I hit accept. Those fields are filled. Now, this is a one-time change. So if you enter the serial number incorrectly and you save and continue, you now have to start all over again because this is again a one-time field. You got to make sure you put this entry in right. From there, save and continue. The very next page come up, it's going to be our device setup. Argos is smart enough now to where you no longer have to sit here and tell it what type printer it has, what type validator it has, if it had a coin hopper, a card reader, anything. Argos will go out and it will do the forensics on the cabinet and say, okay, based off what I've seen, I'm going to automatically populate this field. So you just have to go through, verify this page, make sure everything is good to go. Once you've verified it, simply click continue. Next page is it's going to be you all's limit setup. And I know everybody's familiar with limit setups because every manufacturer out there that has a machine, you have to go through and put your limit setup. So based off of whatever y'all limit setups on your casino floor, you want to go through and you want to put that information in. Me, I'm going to leave mine at default. Select save and continue again down the bottom right. Pretty much this next page to come up. If you were, let's say, had the cabinets like I was talking about within the easy config feature, we want to share things across the network. I can go in and I can set this up based off of setting up, and I won't set up, but I'll walk through it real quick. You simply touch the first line that says enable ion. It has a radio button. It's either going to be on or off. Simply hit the on, and then you will touch under network group name, the next name down. You can type in whatever name it is. And I always tell everybody to use the game theme name. But this is in the showroom, which is why I'm not going to turn this one on. But you can put your game theme name on. Now, by me doing this, I can actually now share this across the network and everything. Again, I'm not going to do it in here because I'm in the showroom. I don't want to mess that cabinet up. So I'm going to turn mine back off. Once you've got that set, save and continue. Now, one thing I do want to point out about that page as well as this page, some game themes will have these options and some game themes may not. If it does not come up, it's not required within that cabinet. If it does come up, if you're not putting it on a network, you don't necessarily have to fill out that field. But when it come up to this next page, location setup, we do have game themes that we actually, use like a community share or pretty much it's like, so if you had this one game and it hits a feature and it pays it'll pay out like a bonus to all the other games. This is the page where you need to make sure that this is the page you will see and you will have to fill out. The way it works. Zone is based off of you can call it whatever zone you want. You got zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. You can name those whatever you want. Next line down is going to be group. Based off of group, you can have I think you can have like 64 different groups. Again, not really important, but those two fields, make sure they're filled in. The next one down, and it says number of units in group. This is where you're going to enter in how many games do you have that's going to be in this group. If you got one game, if you got 10 games, you got 12 games. You want to put all those games, that total number of games that you have that's in that group. The next number down or the next line down, unit, this one's going to be confusing. I don't know why they did this, but based off of that particular cabinet you set up, you're going to enter a number. What unit number is this? For this particular menu, location setup, we start at 0. I don't know why we started up. We didn't start off with 1. You have to put 0. 0 will be cabinet number 1. 1 will be cabinet number 2. 2 will be cabinet number 3, and so on. So you got to make sure that you put information in there. So on mine, I'm going to put 0. And again, this is a required field. And I'm going to hit accept. Everything else is pretty much is informational. The line below unit is what it's called topology. You have two different ways. You can do either a linear or you can make it a circular. Is this a linear or inline cabinet, or is this a circular bank? Again, it's just information. And then if you want to give it a tag, you can put in whatever tag you want. Again, if you was to use this field, I would probably say you would use the game theme name, but you don't have to. Next, we hit save and continue. From here, again, like I said, the software is intuitive enough to do whatever it needs to do. When it gets to this point right here, this is when we actually gonna start setting up the cabinet. It comes up and asks you this question. It says up at the top, in case you all can't see it, set up complete, configuration completed successfully. Right below that, it asks you a question. Do you want to continue with pay table setup? Gives you two options, bottom right, yes or no. Don't know why they asked that question because I obviously want to set up the cabinet. If I hit no, which I'm going to do, and I'll show you, I'll explain to you why. By me hitting no, I end up having to go back through all these settings. Whereas if I had to hit yes, and of course when we get back to it, I'm gonna hit setup. I'm gonna go down to over here's my menu on the left hand operators menu. I had to go all the way down to game setup. If I had to hit yes, it would have took me right to this page. So the point on that page is when you get to that page, simply select yes. It'll keep you from having to go, going through all those few steps I just showed you. Once you get to that point where you're ready to set the game up, you simply select the game, select the game. Based off of the game, you now have what we call, well, depend upon the way the capital is actually created, but you have what we call preferred denom groups. Now, based off of the denom groups, I want everybody to understand IGT has it. I think with their IPC, if they still have it around. Konami has it. You actually have the ability to select certain denominations from the group. Well, within SG, based off of your denom group, this group that you could probably barely see, I have 1 cent, 2 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, and $1. I have to use those denominations. I cannot use a partial of those, so I need to make sure I use them all, pretty much. And then I'll drop down. Actually, this is the only group I have is on this. So I have to use this group. Then based off of that, we have the denominations down below, 1 cent, 2 cent, 5 cent, and so on. What you're going to do is you're going to hit the not set. And now you have the ability to go through and select pay tables. Now, nice thing about these pay tables, you can mix them. So just go through, select whatever pay table is that you want to have on your casino floor. And I know everybody have their parts that they use and stuff. So you just go through and select those. And again, like I say, you can mix them. Once those are all set, you hit next at the bottom. By hitting next. If you want to know if a game supports more than one max bet or as well as more than one min bet per unit, you can go in and you can touch on the max bet, for example. Let's say if it had more than one value as far as a max bet that we can adjust it to, you can select the max bet. And if it shows up in this column here, then it does support it. If it does not, it only support what it shows. So this game only supports 880. Same thing with your min bet. If there was more than one min bet that you can select, you can touch that button and it will tell you. But obviously this only has the one. So we'll leave that as is. Next thing I want to do down at the bottom is hit next. Now it's going to come back to our pay table setup screen or our game setup. Pretty much you see a orange check mark. Before you proceed to do anything else, you want to make sure you save your configurations. Because if you don't, you guess what? You're going to end up coming back, having to reset up again. So simply hit save. By me hitting save, it's going to give me two ways to confirm that this has been saved. One, I have a green check mark box right under the game theme, but also at the bottom, it shows me my configuration has been saved successfully. From this point, you can pretty much do whatever you want to do. You want to go through, you want to set up your SAS. You can hit your protocol setup, you can set your SAS up. If you have to do, um, I'm trying to think of the other one, like SG Connect, you can hit the SG Connect, it'll go through, it'll do all of that. Bad part about it, I just hit SG Connect. It will not, I cannot touch anything else. It will not let me go anywhere else. Oh, actually, this is show. But so it would, but in the production software, once you hit SG Connect, you got to wait for it to either communicate with the SG Connect or timeout. As you can see on this one, it timed out. Next thing we want to talk about is progressive. There's two things we got to do. First and foremost, I'm hitting the progressive tab. Based off progressive tab, you just simply start from the top and you work your way down. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to go through the first one is configure our progressive combos. In other words, how based off of our progressive, do we want them all to be standalone? Do we want them all to be, or level one to be a nap, and level two to be standalone, level three to be standalone, whatever. You can kind of like you can mix the combinations up based off of what things that they do support. And to change it, you simply just go through, like I'm touching on level one, the drop down arrow. I can see all my choices. For level one, I can either do NAP, WAP, a SAS progressive, or a WMS progressive. So I can't make no change on that one. So we'll let that one stay. Same thing on level two. I can do a NAP, SAP, or a WMS. So we can't make a change on that one. And then on my level three, I can only do a standalone progressive. So you can go through each of your levels and see what all they support. So we're pretty much telling it how we want to connect all of these progressives. So on this one, we're gonna leave it as is. I'm going to say save. Save. Now, once you save this, I was going to ask you a message. Would I like to save my changes for all themes? Obviously, I have more than one denomination, so yes, I would. So I'm gonna hit yes. It's going to go through. It's going to make all these changes. Now, once it grays out, any field again that is grayed out, that is a one-time change. So if you make a mistake here, well, we got to start all over again. So you got to go through and do the RAM clear and go back and re-option out. My thing I like to do once I've got my combos set up, and I can so you can hit the configure tab right on progressive again. So I've done my configure progressive combos. Before I go in and set up my controllers, I want to set up my MBC. Now I want to talk about the MBC, how it works. In order for you to first and foremost to get the MBC, you're going to have a thumb drive, and it's going to be called an MBC or multi-link bank controller. It's going to be a thumb drive. This thumb drive has to be inserted in the game in order for the game to come up, but it does not have to be inserted when you're optioning the cabinet out. In order for you to get to this feature, what you want to do is in the top right hand corner, you have two tabs. One of them is home and one of them is exit. I want to hit the home button. By me hitting the home button, it takes me back to the very beginning of my operators menu. But up at the top, we have EGM mode, and it has a drop down arrow. Select the drop down arrow, and it's going to bring up my other option, the MBC or multi-link bank controller. Select the multi-link bank controller. By me setting up the multi-link bank controller, this menu looks identical to the other menu, but it is a little different. But in order for us to get into it, we're going to do it the same way we did with the EGM. Simply touch the setup. Based off of setup, we're going to give our controller name. That's the very first thing you can do because as you can see, all of my buttons they pretty much grayed out. So I'm going to touch the field where it's right next to the set controller name. Menu is going to come up and this is Emperor's Coin. And I usually, again, like to use my game theme name. So I just call it Emperor. And it's all going to be capital. Once I hit accept or start typing, you see my configure links actually came up. So now I need to go through and configure my links. So this means pretty much going to walk you through step by step what you got to do. So select configure links. Based off configure links, here's a couple of things that you can do. If you say, because our level one supported the wide area progressive, here is where I can actually tell this cabinet, okay, I want level one to do my WAP, to take my values in for my WAP. And in order for you to do that, you have four columns. One of them themes, you don't need to do anything with that. It shows you all the pay tables, you don't need to do anything with that. It'll show you denoms. You can show you either one denom or all denoms. You don't even need to do anything with that. The only one you need to worry about doing, for this example, we want to make level one support or as you get the feed from our WAP, just go and simply touch level one, and when it turns blue, that level now knows that it's going to be getting information from our wide area progressive. But in our example again, I'm going to enable this because I don't have a wide area progressive system in here. But if you had to, again, just to clarify, if you had a wide area progressive and and the level one is always going to be the wide area, just touch the level one under your multi-link bank controller link configurations. At the bottom, you have some information. It shows you, gives you information about your current selection, shows you theme, one of the pay tables, one of the denoms. It has a check mark that will automatically link, automatic link sharing. It allows it to do automatic link sharing, but you will have this field. It says apply modified configurations to. Now, what do I want to do? Because I know I have multiple denominations and everything. First and foremost, I need to check that box right, put a check mark in that box right next to it. So I put my check mark box there, and then I have a drop down arrow. So what do I want to apply these to? I have two choices: all pay tables of selected themes, or all themes, pay tables, and denominations. Again, because it's a multi-denom game, I want to take the bottom choice. So all themes, pay tables, and denoms. Once I've got that, I can now create my links. So I touch the create links at the bottom left. It's going to come up, it's going to ask you a question whether I like to obviously create links for all pay tables and themes and denominations. So no further changes are allowed. I obviously want to hit yes. So I hit yes, goes through, it does that. So now my links are configured. I can go through and view my links if I wanted to by selecting the view or edit links at the bottom right, but I don't need to because I know I'm good to go. So I'm gonna go over to the left hand side, select exit. That takes us back to our menu. Now look what happened. All four buttons are enabled. Like I said, if I really want to view my links right now, I will come back to this page. My second choice, view or edit links, I can see that there. Link assignments, I can see that there, but more importantly, we need to start our progression. And what this does is, this is within the OS, this is going to start the progressive feature in the background. And again, in order for it to be enabled, you're going to need that MBC controller. Now, if you say, okay, you put this cabinet on your floor and you have some monies that you need to move, that you move from one bank of games over to this bank of games. This is where you can actually go in and do that by simply selecting the view or edit links. So I select view or edit links. Now I can come in, I can see what my reset values are. Never touch those. I can go through, if I had to change my contribution rates on some of the fields, you actually can. I can put a max value, but I can also put on or in over here on the right hand side an override amount. Let's say, so my reset value is at $10,000. What I want to do is I got to take my reset value plus the money I want. So let's say 1,100 bucks. So I'll go 11150.0. So I've taken my reset value to 10,000 and I've added my 11,000, my 1,150 bucks into it as well. So take your reset value and the monies you want to add to it, add those two together, and that's what you want to type in this field. Once you type it in, select accept, and as you can see now, it's populated. So when I bring this cabinet up, what I will see for my reset value is going to be the 10,000, the 11,150 bucks. So that's there. Once I've done that, I can save these. Now, this is not a one-time change, so if you want to go back and make a change later, you can. But once I start my progressive, so I hit exit. Once I start my progressive, I'm pretty much done after that. So now what I want to do is, in order for me to see my MBC, is I want to start my progressive. Question for the group. Do you all work with cosign at all?
Usually, no.
Okay, that's a good
Try
thing
not to.
because you'd be calling me and I had to help you out with that one. But if you do happen to work with cosign, this is where you want to go through and set up your cosign. I won't touch bases on it, but I just want to let you all know if you do happen to have cosign, give me a call. I take it to a class on how to go about setting the cosign up to communicate with the cabinet. So we got our progressive set up. Now I'm gonna select the start progressive at the bottom. It's going to ask you a couple questions. If it's only one cabinet, and what takes place is because of we now have a failover system for our multi-link bank controller. We have what we call an active controller, and we have what we call a standby controller. If you have more than one machine, you obviously want to have one machine that's going to be your active controller, and then the other machine is going to have to be set up, to communicate to it. Nice thing about the other machine, it will automatically associate itself as a standby controller. If you do not, and again, you got two machines, do not have a active, I mean, your active is set up, but you do not set up your standby, this bank of games will not come up. In this particular situation, I only have the one cabinet, so I'm gonna select no. But what you want to do is you want to always select yes. And what's gonna take place, I'm gonna hit no. It's gonna go out, it's gonna give me a message, and it should give me a message. Based off of it, it should tell me, okay, it's going to go out and it's going to determine my type controller. This one did not do it, maybe because it's show software, but it will give you a message saying, okay, we're going to determine what type controller you're on. We'll go from there. The way you identify what type controller it is, you simply hit the home button again, and then over on the right hand side, right under your controller information, it will show your controller status. This one is obviously a standalone. The number of links I had, the number of clients if I had more than one machine, and also the IP address of that particular machine. So it'll give you the information that you will need. Once you got that done, you're almost done with setting up this cabinet. So in order for us to get back to finish it, you now want to hit the arrow by multi-link bank controller, hit EGM mode. Based off NGM mode, we're under the EGM mode because I know that. Hit setup. We want to go back to our progressive setup. Based off progressive setup, now we've already configured our progressive combos. We just need to configure our controllers. So based off of this, select configure controllers. As you can see, we have three of them that shows. The bottom one we will not use. The bottom one says MML WAP. We're not going to use that one. The middle one says SAP or standalone progressive, and the top one is MML NAP. I'm going to start my standalone progressive first. I don't know why, I just like to. So I'm going to touch the SAP or the standalone progressive. It's going to come up. It's going to show me again my reset values. If I have monies I want to add to, I can do all that there. But down at the bottom, on the right hand side, I have a start progressive tab. So I'm going to select the start progressive tab. And basically what it's going to do, it's going to ask me this question. I'm going to finalize my changes. I'm going to select yes. It's going to go ahead and start my standalone progressive. Now, if you notice, everything is grayed out. Again, that means it's a one-time change. So if I made any mistakes, well, I got to do a RAM clear. Select exit. Now we can go into our MML NAP. Based off our MML NAP that we created under our NBC bank, you can hit the refresh list. I always suggest you to do a couple of times. Then hit the drop down arrow. Look for that name that we created. I created Emperor. So based off of Emperor, I'm going to select Emperor, and then I'm going to hit save. Once I've done that, I can now go through, provided everything else is optioned in the cabinet, go over to my home tab, my home button, take a look at any pending tilts that I have. Only thing I should see is like my logic door open, main door open, things of that nature. Go through that. You have successfully optioned your cabinet out based off what it is you want to do. Now, I've talked to you all about how to go about doing the RAM clear. I was going to actually show you two different ways, but this machine actually helped me out to where we're good to go on on both of them because they're both are going to be the same. I've talked to you all about the CPU. Um, I'll show you all. The last thing I need to do is show you all the physical doors on the cabinet. We've already looked at the deck door. I just got to show you all the belly door and the two access doors that we have on for the BV as well as the printer. Before I get into that last part, are there any questions based off of the option of the cabinet, progressive setup, or anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So last thing that I want to do is, like I said, I'm going to show y'all two more things, and then that'll pretty much end this session. So again, I've showed y'all how to go about opening up the deck door. The belly door and the BV door is actually real simple. Take that key out. In order for me, again, to access my, and I don't have the key for this one, the printer door, you would simply insert your key in, unlock it, and this door will drop down. Like I said, I don't have the correct key for this one, and I should have grabbed it. But again, there's nothing under there that really pertains to you. If you have to work with sound, you will find the audio card right below the printer. By dropping this door down, you can do what you need to do. The BV door, just like any other BV door, you're going to have your lock. Insert your key, unlock it. It drops down. It gives you access to your cash box door, and then you got the other door that's behind it. So all that is there. Again, I think that's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Now, the belly door, as I told y'all before, if you have to do anything to this machine, everything is self-contained. The belly door, as I explained to y'all, it has a lock, has this handle that you pull up on, and it'll drop down. Now, what you're going to notice when this belly door opens is, and I need you to go to tip forward just a little bit. On the belly door, like I said, it has tools that you will always see that's going to be on the belly door. One of them is going to be this socket handle. It has a wrench, a drill adapter, and it also has a socket on the end. Basically, what this does is this is what you will see the field service guys use to install your monitors. We have a crank housing that's in the very back, right by the subwoofer. You will see them use this tool. So when you open up the door, make sure that this tool is always there and it has like a place where it lock. Then you will also see this little yellow mechanism. Everybody opens it like, what is this, a back scratcher? It's not a back scratcher. Basically, what takes place with this is, depending, like if these cabinets are side by side, your cabinets on say your left side or the far right side, those monitors are easy to pull forward. But those monitors that are in the middle, well, because it's pretty high up, we provided this handle to allow you to, once you raise the top monitor up, you can take this latch and you can put it on the main monitor, kind of like put it in the back, and you can pull the main monitor forward to allow you to pull forward. So make sure, again, when you open up the belly door, that you see the socket adapter set in there, as well as this little yellow handle. All right. This pretty much concludes it. Are there any questions, concerns?
I don't think so.
All right. Like I said, what I will do, I will put together a video based off of the when I went through all those options and things. I will get that over to Lynn and we'll get that over to you all as quick as I possibly can. Again, like hopefully by the end of the day, you'll have that. We have this session that is also recorded. If there are no more questions, and I just want to make sure I go around one more time. Any questions? Because if they're not, I'll stop the recording. So, are there any questions?
No.
Anything that you all feel that anything else you all would like me to cover before we go any further?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Now, we do have a YouTube page. It doesn't have anything that's proprietary as far as information. I will post that link into the chat here, so you all have that. Nice thing about the YouTube page, based off of we have how-to videos. I even have a video in there that talks to you about the mural cabinet, how they go about the assembly and everything else. So I'll make sure I'll send that link over to you all as well. If there are no more questions, first thing is I want to do is I'm going to stop my recording. Stop recording.